These stairs were solid, but definitely stuck in another decade. Instead of replacing them, I decided to restyle them into something I actually love. After removing the metal stair nose molding, I pulled up the plastic treads. Yes, they were glued down, so I knew I wasn't going to be refinishing the steps. But as I made my way down the staircase, I realized the bottom 5 steps were oak, so I knew I had to do something. I couldn't cover them up. So I stripped off the brown paint 6 inches on each side of each step, and then I sanded. Next, I taped off each step and painted the risers black, but only 6 inches in, which saved a ton of time and paint. Then I used the same black cabinet paint to freshen up the banisters and newel posts. Yes, I used cabinet paint on the stairs for its durability. Next, it was time to stain the stairs in Early American. So much better and really brings out the beautiful grain in the wood. I laid padding first, stapling it into place, and then a new carpet runner, which was really easy to install. Nailed it in easy peasy, and oh, what a difference. The stairs weren't the only thing I updated in the entryway, but they completely changed how the space feels. I hope this inspires you to take on that project that you've been waiting to start.
Today I am going to give my entryway a refresh. The front door and the entryway are the first things that my guests will see, so I want to set the stage for a warm and inviting welcome. It's time to remove the shelf and all of those hooks. I used my power drill to make this job fast and easy. Yikes! Now I have loads of holes in the wall, but it's an easy fix. I used joint compound and a putty knife. The trick is to not glob it on, but to keep it to a minimum and smoothing it out while it's still wet. While the joint compound dries, I tape and paper off the floors and tape off the trim. I'm using paint from my local hardware store. I pour it into the paint tray and I will roll it on using a wide paint roller. I found some French doors in the basement. They were in rough shape and they didn't fit the space. So, you guessed it, I called in the experts. They trimmed down the doors, sanded the rough spots, and hung them for me. A good scrubbing and a fresh coat of paint will have them looking beautiful in no time. I use this glass cleaner not only to clean the door, but it will also take off just enough of the sheen for the new paint to stick. And I won't have to prime first. I'm using press and seal to cover the glass. I use a blade knife to cut off any excess. It's quick and easy. However, don't leave it on too long or it will leave a residue on the glass. It's time to paint the doors. I can't wait to see the transformation. I'm using a small palm brush and a small paint roller. Means I'm painting such tight corners. Using a scraper gets the paint off the glass easily. Now I'm moving on to the front door. The change of color is going to make a huge difference. I pour the paint into the paint tray and I'm ready to roll. Again, I'm using the small paint roller to be able to get into the tight or narrow spaces. Boy, do I love this door. The old lighting in this space is definitely not my favorite. Isn't this new vintage lighting so beautiful? It's going to add loads of charm and sparkle. Next, I'm making a template to hang my vintage mirrors. If you have ever tried to hang a collage, it is very hard to get it right without creating a lot of holes. I use large sheets of craft paper to lay out my mirrors. After I come up with the perfect design that I want, I trace around each of the mirrors onto the craft paper. Then I measure where to put the nail. I find the center of the mirror and then where the hanger is. Then I transfer the template to the wall and hammer in my nails. This is such a quick and easy way to hang a collage. Doesn't it look great? Now for the fun part, the accessories. Here's a quick tip. Put a command strip or museum wax under a decor item to keep it in place. This hook shelf looks so much nicer than the previous set of hooks. The rug looks so good in the entryway. A bench is great for an entryway. It provides a place to sit and put your shoes on. I love to add some decor items to the front door. Again, it just adds to the inviting feel that my friends and family are going to see. And now for the reveal. The entryway is now a warm and welcoming space to invite our family and friends into. What a transformation in just 48 hours. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I always enjoy our time together.
Is your closet a hot mess? Maybe a little disorganized and cluttered? Well, today we're going to go over some tips, tricks, and hacks. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove everything from my closet. So I want to be able to start with a clean slate. So I'm going to remove all the shoes, the coats, everything on the shelves, completely gut it. Once everything is out, you can see how much clutter and mess was sitting inside that closet. But before we go through that, we need to clean our space. So we're going to start by cleaning out the closet. So I grabbed my vacuum cleaner first, and I'm cleaning the floor of the closet as well as the baseboards. And then I'm also going to vacuum off the shelves and the entire closet first, because there's a lot in there that needs to be sucked out first before I can get a nice, efficient clean. Next, I'm going to take a damp rag and I'm going to wipe down all of the shelves, the hanging rack, the floor, the baseboards, the walls, and get it nice and good and clean. I'm going to place a shoe organizer into the bottom of the closet. And I'm going to look at all the shoes we have. What I've calculated is each family member, and there are 4 of us, can have about 4 pairs of shoes that will fit on a shelf. So each family member gets a shelf and 4 pairs of shoes that you use the most often. Now I'm going to teach you a little thing my mom had taught me, and I pass this on to my kids. So I'm going to take my mittens and place them into my hat. So I'm going to squeeze my scarf into one sleeve of my coat, and then the hat and mitten combination I'm going to put in the other sleeve of the coat. So place your snow pants onto your hanger and then place that inside. And now your whole outfit is complete. Now we're going to talk about some of the things we can do with the shelves. And one of the things I like to do is get some white baskets, and I can even write the name of the family member on the basket so they can reach up and know that that's their basket. My husband has a lot of hats, so I'm going to place hats in one of his baskets, and you can stack them or you can fold them up, whichever you prefer, and place them in there. The same can be done of any hats, gloves, scarves, anything like that, and you can have a basket per family member on the shelves. Another way you can hang up some of your accessories is to get a dollar store trash can. I placed chalk stickers on the front of those trash cans and labeled each one with our names on it. Then inside of our laundry room, we have a coat hanging rack. Above that, I've placed 4 command hooks so that each family member has their own command hook. And then I placed the trash cans on the command hooks. Now our coats are on the coat rack and our hats and mittens are above that. And I can swap this out seasonally. We like to use over-the-door hanging racks. And some examples of the things you can put on those racks are hats, coats, backpacks, and if you have wet gloves or wet hats from being out in the snow, you can set them to dry up on those. Now we run out of room for our cleaning supplies inside of our closets as well, but we need some place to hang them. And this is where those over-the-door hanging racks come in handy. You can also place an over-the-door shoe organizer, but we can also place hats and gloves, cleaning supplies, as well as sunglasses. So many possibilities. Another idea, if you run out of space, is to place your winter items or your summer items in a tub and store them until it's the season and swap them in and out. So you can stack them in your basement or storage space.
And I hope this inspires you to try some coat closet hacks of your own. Again, I'm Chas from Chas's Crazy Creations. Thanks for watching Hometalk, and I'll see you next time.
Here's how to update a boring entryway on a budget. First, run to your local hardware store and grab 2 beadboard panels. Then grab a nice baseboard. Now when you get home, it's going to be hard to wait, but you need to wait 48 hours for the paneling to adjust to the humidity of your home. If you don't wait, you'll get lots of warping and shrinkage. Once the wait is over, you can go ahead and start brad nailing your paneling to the wall. Now measure the remaining space, transfer it to your second panel, and cut. Once you get that panel nice and secure, caulk the seams and edges. Now to finish off these nail holes. If you had some sticking out like I did, normally you want to use a nail punch for this, but I didn't have one, so I decided to use a screwdriver with my hammer, and it works just fine. Now it's time for that upside down baseboard. Pop it at the top of your paneling, making sure that it's very level, and nail it into place. Caulk any remaining seams, and get to painting. Do not cheap out on the brand of paint here, because this is going to be a very high traffic area. You're going to have keys and coats brushing up against it all the time. So I used Duration by Sherwin-Williams in the color Eventide. And you can use a little craft brush and wall paint to touch up. Now it's time to add the hooks. And now for some styling. I am so happy with how this turned out. It is exactly what I was hoping for, and it was so budget friendly. It was only a few cuts, so it was really easy to do. But I think this looks quite professional. I hope this gave you some ideas on what to do with your entryway, and thanks for watching Home Talk.